Spurl, and I have the awesome privilege and opportunity to be your host today. I have with me today during Kingdom Made Moguls, to my right is Miss April Sibley. Please put your hands together for Miss April Sibley. Yes. Welcome some of NLIM and CRCC's very own. To my left, I have Mr. Daniel Bryant. Put your hands together, Mr. Daniel Bryant. Thank you so much. And for those of you that are participating virtually, electronically, we want to encourage you to come be with us here on the fourth Sunday of each consecutive month up until the end of December 2025. Also, we want to encourage you to stay tuned to the end of this particular episode of Kingdom Made Moguls, because we'll talk more in terms about the submission form that you can complete online on or about August the 10th, and you will be able to have your business, if it is selected during this particular cohort of rotations, which is twice or 2 Sundays out of each consecutive month, where there will be a rotation of different businesses that could bear their wares or business particular services or products in the bookstore here at the ministry. Without further ado, I want to talk to you just briefly. Everyone say briefly. Yeah, I want to talk to you briefly about investing with regards to artificial intelligence, because that is the subject today. Everyone say artificial intelligence, is the subject for today. Everyone say artificial intelligence is the subject for today. Yes, and so because the subject today is artificial intelligence, we have been using the acronym AI. How many of you heard of AI and its abbreviated term? Yes, that means artificial intelligence. So I want to spend just a few minutes giving you a little bit of a background. I don't know how many of you know, but a gentleman by the name of Sam Altman, who it was one of the very first people to kind of come out with this company called OpenAI. And what OpenAI does is not a publicly traded company, and I'll talk to you about a publicly traded company before I turn the floor over to Ms. Sibley and Mr. Daniel Bryant. But OpenAI, whose chairman is Sam Altman, they've said that AI is going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. As a matter of fact, in the trillions of dollars. It's bigger than the internet as we know it. And so with that, OpenAI owns ChatGPT, and Daniel Bryant to my left will talk to you about ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is essentially like in my words, not his, like the internet on steroids. It's just a massive, vast amount of content, information. It can create images. It can do a multitude of things. Unless I tread on his ground, I don't want to do that. I'll just yield and say this. But OpenAI owns ChatGPT. Everyone say ChatGPT. Yeah, it's like a chat box where you can type in different queries and it would give you data, information, etc. But NVIDIA, everyone say NVIDIA. Yeah, NVIDIA is spelled NVDIA. Please write that down somewhere. NVIDIA, NVDIA. NVIDIA, as of July of this year, everyone say this year. Yeah, as of July of this year, is the largest company by way of market capitalization in the entire world. Now, I want to let that sink in. There's a gentleman by the name of Jensen Huang, I think his name is pronounced. He's been the CEO of NVIDIA for a little over 20 years, and he was telling people over the last 20 plus years that AI was going to be bigger than the internet, and no one listened to the guy. But lo and behold, if you look with me into my upper right-hand corner, this diagram shows you to the right, you see where it says at the top left corner, it says NVIDIA Corporation. It says $173.50. That stock is up year to date $60.40 a share. So if you subtract essentially $60.44, just say $60 for easy math, from $173, that stock at the beginning of this year was trading at roughly $110. Do you understand this diagram I'm showing you? Now, the green represents positive transactional movement. So obviously you see the month in the bottom left, the July, November, March, which stocks are usually tracked in months, weeks, months, 6-month periods, year to date, 1 year, 2 year, 5, 10 year, and then just the entire duration of the company's existence. So the base of this, what I'm showing you, I'm giving some background of the stock of the company is artificial intelligence, which here again is the largest company in the world by way of market capitalization. And their market capitalization is $4.1 trillion, almost $4.2 trillion. And a lot of that value has been accumulated over the last 5 years. So what this is indicating is, by way of and I'm not making a representation that these views are that expressed by this minister or pastor or Pastor George or Judith Matthews. These are expressions and understandings that I have just by way of reviewing stock, but I'm not a stock advisor, so I'm giving you all the disclaimers in this statement. But it's just as a point of investment reference. This is a graph that shows from July how the stock went down. You can see it go up, it goes down. So in its low point, where it was in March, that stock went to $102 then. And as you notice, since March, it has constantly gone back up. Do you see this? All right, so let's do some quick math. Everyone say quick math. Let's say you put $1,000 in this stock when it was at $100. How many shares would you own? How many? Say again? Okay, $1,000 into a company. I'm just giving a background. We're getting to the substance of the content of AI. I want to talk to you about investing in technologies that will help make you wealthy, okay? So with this, and I'm not just using NVIDIA as a company of exclusive preference, I'm using it as a reference. Everyone say just as a reference. Yes, just as a reference. If you put $1,000 in NVIDIA, which at one point, this stock, I think it IPO'd at about $22, $24. So if you had $1,000 to invest into the market, if you use Wells Fargo, you can download an app on your phone, create a trade account, put $1,000 in a trade account, buy the stock through a Wells Fargo, and I'm not promoting these particular institutions, I'm just using them as a reference. Everyone say as a reference. Yeah, I'm not being paid to give any advertising to these organizations, but I'm just using it as a reference to kind of guide your thoughts into some of the platforms to utilize at your discretion. Now, if you put $1,000 in NVIDIA when it was trading at $20, how much stock would you own in NVIDIA with your $1,000 investment? Say again? 50 shares, right? 50 shares at $20 is $1,000, right? Okay, all right. Everyone say that was before. All right, so now if you bought it for $20 a share with $1,000 investment, let's do the math to see what happens to your $1,000. Are y'all ready to see this? $175. Is this helping anyone?
Yes, sir.
Just want to be real practical. And thank God for us having pastors who are sensitive enough to help teach us both spiritual and natural things.
Yes, sir.
Amen. 175, which is about what the stock is trading at right now. 175 times 50 shares. Your $1,000 would have gone to $8,750. So let's just play a little bit more advocacy. Let's say if you put $10,000 in the stock. You see where I'm going with that? You'd have over $100,000 in value based on a $10,000 investment. This is how the wealthy get wealthier. Now the scripture says, everyone say the scripture says. The scripture says in Proverbs 13:22 that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for who? The just or the righteous, right? So we can, and Pastor was talking about this today, about the universe. When we was talking about the universe has to produce the harvest when you sow the seed. So in as much as they're doing what they do with the money they would make from this stock, you could take this money, sow it, reinvest it, give it however you so desire, because you would get the harvest out of this world system or out of this world's universe. And that's what I believe the proverbial writer was referring to. So thank you so much. Put your hands together for the sound and audio team who does a great job with us and assisting us. Thank you very much, Eldo, and your folks. Thank you so much. Now, with that having been said, I'm going to yield and I'm going to turn the floor over to Mrs. April Sibley, who's going to talk to us about utilizing artificial intelligence in expanding, growing, and developing your business. And she's being willing to open the floor up so you can ask questions as she comes to various stages of her deck presentation.
All right. My window is gone. Let's try this one. There we go. There we go. All right. Good It's still morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I want to talk to you today about leveraging AI for your businesses. I've spent the past 10 months working on researching all types of AI that's out there. And I teach high school engineering, and so I've developed a curriculum for my students to use to learn about what AI is, how to properly use it, because we all have heard the stories of children using AI not in a good way. And also with that AI platform, how you can, once you're generating information, gathering data, how you can identify if there's any AI bias, if there are any inaccuracies, and how you can safely use it to either improve whatever your task you're trying to do, or like for you all, how you can improve your business. Okay, so let's see, we've got, I thought he was gonna put it up here. We've got, if you look, okay, there it is. If you look up here, you see that we have Amazon Alexa. I know y'all have heard of Alexa, right? Yes. You've heard of Netflix? Yes. Somebody say yes. And you've heard of Google Pay, Apple Pay, Tap to Pay, all of that. All of those are artificial intelligence. So you've had experience with artificial intelligence, whether you know it or not. One of the things to note is that artificial intelligence is not some robot that comes to do something for you. If y'all remember the Jetsons, you remember Rosie?
Yeah.
That's not AI. That's not what it is. But it's everyday tasks and things that you come in contact with that are made and transformed into another form to help you improve and also make your life more efficient. So let's talk about what the textbook definition of artificial intelligence is. So it says AI refers to the intelligence of machines as a contrast with the natural intelligence of us humans. With artificial intelligence, machines perform functions such as learning, planning, reasoning, and problem solving, just like how humans are likely to do these tasks. Now, when we talk about looking at machine learning versus human learning, the key to remember is that the machine can only do what the human tells it to do. So if you give it incorrect information, it's only going to spit out that incorrect information. And it's going to build its algorithm off of that incorrect information, which is why it is important for you to, as you are playing with these artificial intelligence tools, as you're starting to implement them into your everyday businesses, that you make sure that the information that you feed it versus the information that it gives you is indeed accurate. So artificial intelligence is not magic. It's not any black box that has just gathered all this data from somewhere and is spitting it out, giving you new information. It's just smart algorithms finding patterns. So remember on that first slide, for instance, Netflix. If you've ever noticed, if you've watched Netflix over the course of maybe 2 or 3 days, as you log into Netflix, what happens? It tells you suggestions, right? And that's because it's looking at and monitoring things like what type of movies you're watching, what shows you're watching, the time of day, the week it is. All of those things come into play, and that builds the algorithm to then produce a list of suggestions for you to watch. So when you think about also when you're on the internet, let's say, I know a lot of people joke and say Big Brother is watching, but let's just say you're looking for a new pair of shoes and you go out to Google, right, and you search for whatever the shoe is that you want. And let's just say you then go into Facebook. All of a sudden you start seeing shoe ads, right? That's an example of how the algorithm is fed based off of your activities and the information that you give the actual system. Now, we talk about a lot of the big companies, right? We talk about the Googles, we talk about the Amazons, and we talk about the Apples. Oftentimes you don't see, because of how large they are, you really say, well, that's too large for me. I don't know how I can relate that to what I do in my business. But that's not true. You can take a lot of information from how these big companies use artificial intelligence, and you can adapt it to your business or whatever it is that you work in. So let's take a look, for example, at Google. What can Google teach us? Google is really good at advertising, okay? I just gave you that example of how you go and you search for a pair of shoes. That information is then fed to all of the other platforms, social media, all of that kind of stuff. It's fed to them to give you the information, and it's tailored towards you. And so, you know, the biggest thing that you can take away from advertising is that it really is a means to be able to connect with your customer, because you're identifying their purchasing habits, you're identifying all of the things that they do online, and you can take that information, pair it with what your business is, and you can come up with a plan to be able to reach that target market. So then we talk about Amazon. The biggest thing with Amazon is personalization. Every business has a customer. That customer wants a personalized experience, right? You want to make sure that your business is personalized in such a way that that customer feels like they're your only customer, because that drives loyalty. That drives them wanting to come back. And so if you think about Amazon, the same thing. When you log into Amazon, let's say you're looking for, I don't know, a computer. When you log into Amazon after you've done a search for that computer, the next time you log in, the first thing that comes across the top are computer suggestions. And so the thing is, it's like, oh, so it's already anticipating what it is that I need, and it's creating options for me to consider. And the biggest thing with Apple is integration. So I'm a Google person. I am not Apple. Even though I have a Mac, my phone, everything else is Google. The biggest thing to think about is integration. So even if, let's just say I decided to get an iPhone, have an iPad, all of those things, Apple has created a framework that actually pulls on integration. So I know, for all of my iPhone users out there, let's say I did have one. If, for instance, I have my phone put away, but somebody's texting me, I'm able to mirror my phone on my screen on my computer, right? I'm also able to connect and get my messages. I can FaceTime both on any device, and it'll integrate and pull all of those contacts and all of that information into one place. And so the biggest thing with that, when you're thinking about your business and your customers and how you're going to actually interact with them, give them the products that they need, being able to integrate and make a seamless process for that customer keeps them satisfied, because the process is easy and they're able to get through and actually make a point of sale or things like that. And so that makes them want to come back, because it was easy to do the business with you. So what are the benefits? When we talk about AI in your business, there are three things: increased operational efficiency, enhancing customer experiences, and faster and more accurate decision making. Now, when we talk about increased operational efficiency, that is identifying redundant tasks that you're doing in your day-to-day operations of your business, and figuring out how AI can be interjected into that process to help free you up to do something else that is needed to be done. Also, when we talk about enhancing customer experiences, creation of a more personalized experience, increasing engagement and satisfaction for your customer. Again, you want to create that opportunity for your customer to feel like they're the only one that you're working with. They're exclusive, they're a priority, because you want them to then build that loyalty with you and also recommend you to their friends and whomever else needs that service or product. And so the last thing is faster and more accurate decision making. So you want to use data insights to drive informed business decisions. Let's say whatever your business is, deploys a product. You notice that you have a whole suite of products that you offer, but one particular product is not doing very well. You don't get a lot of people that ask for it or request it or order it. So what you could do is actually use AI to analyze all of your purchase history, all of your customers, and it can generate a suggestion for you on, hey, maybe you can take this approach with this particular product and you may be able to generate more sales. Or it can tell you just by analyzing what information you give it, which particular product is not the best-selling product, which product I should get rid of. And so there are many, many facets to AI that you can use and rely on to help better your business and help to make you more efficient in everything that you do with operations. So I know that it is a lot of information out there. I've been researching AI. I worked on this program for 10 months, but I've been researching AI for 2 years. And I promise y'all, I find something new every day. And so it can be very overwhelming to pick and identify where's the best place to start and what particular platform to use to help with your business. And so one of the things that you can do is just use this process to help guide you in making that decision on where to start first. So the first thing is you want to identify your business needs. What is it that you feel within your business is needing improvement? What is something that you feel like takes all of your time? What is something that you feel like I probably can get something else in place to help make this faster and I no longer have to do it? So identify something within your business, your operations, that you feel needs an improvement. So then you do technology evaluation. As I mentioned, it's hundreds of thousands of different AI options out there, and it's growing every day. The best thing for you to do is to just do a quick search. Once you've identified what that business need is, just literally put that in as a search. What is an AI tool that I can use for improving something? I don't know, customer turnaround time. The next thing is you want to think about integration and implementation. So as you look at your business model, figure out how you can take the steps to actually implement that particular technology that you've identified as being appropriate for your business. And once you integrate that into your processes, you can then monitor your progress and see how effective that implementation was. So back to the example of me saying you use the AI platform to identify a product or service that's not really performing well. You can then take a look at comparing before the performance of that particular product or service before implementing this particular platform, and then look at how it's doing after. And if you see that there's some improvement, then you're on the right track. Obviously, if you don't see that improvement, then you just start the process over and try to find something else that can help get you what you need. So I'm going to give you 4 really good tools that you can use. The first one is Perplexity. This is my favorite AI tool. It is similar to the ChatGPTs, the Google Geminis, but the distinguishing factor is that it can give you automatic citation of sources from where it gathers its information. So to me, that's an added layer of being able to identify and verify that the information that it did produce me is correct and accurate. So when you think about your business, what's the value add for that? And the value add is that it instantly answers questions with those trusted sources. It summarizes reports and it analyzes trends. So it's much more than just, getting citations for whatever you're looking for. There are some other features and capabilities of Perplexity that can allow you to do achieve several different tasks associated with getting those questions answered. So the next one is Canva. Has anybody used Canva? Yes, Canva is the bomb. I use Canva to do this presentation. But they have recently launched an AI component to Canva. So let's just say you have an idea for, let's say, a marketing flyer you want to do for your business, but you go through the templates, you don't see something that gives you what you want, but you don't have the time to create it. You can use Canva AI to actually tell it what you want, and it'll generate graphic samples for you. And so then from there, you can kind of tell it, yeah, I like this, but make this adjustment, or hold this piece and add this piece. So it's really good about being able to take the instructions that you give it and generate some type of graphic model for you to build upon. And so, of course, the value add for this, especially for businesses that don't have a large staff, it helps you to take care of that graphic piece, that graphic marketing piece, without having to contract with the agency, expensive agency, or taking a lot of time to find someone that can actually be your graphic design person. So a lot of the features that are in Canva, you can use yourself, and it can then do the heavy lifting with generating what it is that you want for your promotional materials. So the next one is Grammarly. Proofreading business writing. I can't tell you the number of times that I've received correspondence from businesses that have too many grammatical errors. One of the things that you can do is use AI to help proof and make suggestions on any communication that you want to send out to your customer before you send it. And so Grammarly is also used in education to help evaluate essays and things like that that students submit. But the biggest thing with this, again, is that it helps to look for those errors for you and polish up your communication before you send it out to your customer. And so the last one is ChatGPT, and I think Mr. Daniel's going to talk more about that. But that is a really good platform as well. And it's the one that a lot of people are most familiar with, because that's kind of been the source when we first started talking about AI. And so, of course, you also have the capability of generating graphics and design materials. And then you also can do the same things as Perplexity. But the only difference is you would have to command ChatGPT to generate those sources of where they got that information from, as opposed to Perplexity that automatically gives it to you. And excuse me, and I'll have my email at the end of this presentation. If you want me to email you a copy, I'll be more than happy to, because on here I also have the websites at the bottom. All right, so let's try it. If you have your phone and would like to kind of chug along, please do so. But we're going to do a quick exercise in Perplexity AI. So again, why do I like Perplexity? It's source-cited answers. It gives you all of the information from the sources, and it cites it, and so there's a level of transparency. It summarizes reports, articles, and PDF uploads. So let's say you've got an article that you just don't have the time to read. You can upload that article to Perplexity, and it can give you what I like to say the 5-cent version. It's really good at that. And then it also can give you real-time data, so you're able to track market updates, find trends, financial or product analysis. All right, so the website for you to do this is Perplexity AI. So I have to share my screen. All right. So as you'll be able to see in just a second on my screen, of course, typically Google shows you the most used sites for your web searches. And so you can see I already have Perplexity up because I use it so much. So I'm just going to click on it real quick. Now, real quick, this is what Perplexity looks like. It's very, very simple. It's not overwhelming. Anybody can do this, okay? So the first thing that you'll do is you will be required to set up an account. Of course, it's free. They all have different versions, but there's always a free version that can give you just the basic prompting activities, as well as a few options to be able to like upload documents and things like that. But you can also pay, for instance, a monthly fee or an annual fee, and it will give you more enhanced features that you're able to use. So I think I have a paid version of ChatGPT, but not Perplexity. I just have been able to get everything I need in the basic version of Perplexity. So if you look here, you've got your chat box that you would actually use to enter in your prompt. So whatever it is you're trying to generate. And then if you look across the bottom here, there are options. If you don't want to type a whole lot, you can use dictation. So you can click on it and just talk, and it will capture what you're saying to generate your prompt. You can also attach files. Again, if there's an article, for instance, if there's a document that you have, you can upload that and tell it to analyze that. And then also you can, if you want to, you can set the sources for your search. And then they have where you can choose a different model, but that is when you have a paid version. So one of the things I want to share when it comes to AI and prompt generation. Prompt generation is very, very important. And so what I like to do is I treat AI as if it's a person and I'm having a conversation, because the more information I give that particular prompt, the better quality of the results that I get, okay? So I see my bacon sister out there. We're going to have let's say I am in the process of preparing, which you probably should be doing in your businesses. I'm looking at 2026, all right? So I'm looking at what are some things that I can do to adjust and create opportunities within my business to help prepare me for 2026. So I'm gonna do in my Perplexity box, I always like to identify who I am so that when it generates that result, it's generating it from that perspective of which I give it. So I'm going to tell it that I am a home baker looking to expand my product offerings in 2026. So that's very specific. I have given it what my goal is. I've told it who I am, and I'm telling it what it is I'm looking to get. So now I'm going to tell it, can you tell me what the baking trends are for 2026, and what would be the most requested product from potential customers? Now, let's just say, I've told it what I wanted to do, and I've kind of given it direction on what I wanted to search for. Now I want to tell it how I want it to give me that information back. So we'll say, can you generate a bulleted, I'll just tell it, generate a bulleted list and also include, give me something. Y'all give me something. It doesn't matter.
Social media trends.
Boom. So now we will say, can you also include potential social media, and I teach engineering, I don't teach English, so excuse my spelling. Potential social media trends, and list the options in bullet form. All right, let's see what it gives us. So as you can see, it's generated several different options, right? So it's telling me healthier baked goods is a trend in 2026. But then it also goes into breaking down some details. But if you look, again, I didn't have to ask it to give it to me. It gives me where they get this information from. So it has it on here and it's linked. And of course you can click it and it'll take you to that site. But the key thing to note is that all you have to do is get very, very specific, okay? And so for social media, you have your list here, and it's saying that short form video and visual recipes are a trend, a likely trend, mashup and challenge recipes, ingredient provenance and storytelling, so on and so forth. So then it gives me a summary here. Now with Perplexity, it also will kind of comb all of the information that it's received and other prompts that have been generated by other users, and then it filters out anybody that has done a similar prompt as mine, and then it will add related options. So it may be a detail that I forgot. Let's say, for instance, it's going into detail on the first one. How will health-conscious ingredients influence popular bakery products in 2026? That is a search that someone else did. So I can click on that and it's going to give me the results from that previous person's prompt. Yes?
Now, if you were trying to narrow down demographics, would it be a good idea to say in a specific area that you want to target? Even though you're doing social media, say for instance, you're doing a pop-up in West Stevens.
You're doing a who?
A pop-up in West Stevens.
Okay.
And you wanted to cater to that demographic. So would it be wise to go ahead and put that in there so you'll know what type of products you can bring to that?
Yes, you would have to tell it. So basically her question is, when you are working within the tool, if you want to then say tailor your product to a certain target demographic because of based off of location or where you are, can you put that information in there and it generate that information for you? The answer is yes. Now I will caution when it comes to that kind of stuff, don't put personal information in. Don't ever put, Marquita Sperling, blah, blah, blah. Don't put all of that identifying information in there because, again, it retains it. And it's just like giving it additional information and feeding it your information. So what you could do with that particular prompt is then once it's generated this information, let's say the first thing is health conscious ingredients. What location? Okay, so let's say I would like to offer the health conscious option to customers in can you evaluate and determine if this is an ideal target market? So my prompt says, and I'm just continuing on, so obviously I don't have to re-identify myself. I am continuing in this particular search for information. I say I would like to offer the health conscious option to customers in Birmingham, Alabama 35211. Can you evaluate and determine if this is an ideal target market? So you can see here, it starts off by saying Birmingham, Alabama 35211 presents both challenges and opportunities as a target market for health-conscious baked goods. And then it goes through several different examples of how it supports that statement. So it says high demand for healthy options. And so then it's looked at and has seen that there have been some attempts in the neighborhood to actually offer healthy foods. So it references and gives a particular statistic about food deserts, and then it also has the references there. So then it talks about emerging vegan and specialty bakeries. So then it kind of looked at information that was out there that surveilled the whole 35211 zip code to see if there were any existing businesses out there that already catered to this particular request. And so then it talks about diverse and evolving demographics. So then search for information on what are the trends for that particular area. Is it going to grow? What's the current makeup, age, all of that kind of thing. And then it also talks about existing market competition and, of course, key barriers and things like that. And so then it gives you the overall trend data. And so what you could do, if you felt like that wasn't sufficient, let's say you liked 2 of the 5 key points. You could say, can you tell me more about this and this? And then it'll continue. So again, it's just like having a conversation with the person. You just continue to refine and hone in on the information that you want and just tell it. It's not, you can't hurt their feelings. They're not human. So if you're like, this doesn't sound right, this isn't correct, it's not going to be offended. But the whole purpose is you want to tailor and you want to narrow it down to get the key information that it is that you need. Any questions? Yes.
So I haven't used this app before, but I have used ChatGPT. And at first I was just using it as a guest, and then I created an account. And when you create an account, it allows you to save conversations. You can go back in and do that. Does this do it as well?
Yes.
If it does, since it does, do you recommend, like, if I had this or whatever, and then I go back and talk to, like, if we're still doing a pop-up shop example, if I go back and find out more information from whoever's offering the pop-up shop, would you recommend to go back into those conversations and have it there, or start over?
I would
a new
recommend
conversation?
I would recommend that you continue in that conversation, because
Okay.
it's just going to hold where you are.
Okay.
Because I've done that before, where I've gone out, got some more information, and said, hey, I've now found out blah blah blah. Can you tell me? So yeah, I would definitely do that. So if you didn't hear her question, she asked about, in perplexity, you're able to, let's see if I can pull it up. All right, so you're able to generate your conversation, or, whatever it is you're generating your prompt for. But then if I go here, I've got, if you look here, it keeps a library for me, okay? So it has all of my information or my previous prompts. And let's say I want to go back and revisit one. She asked, is it better to start a new prompt, or can you go back to the one that you had previously been working on? And I would say go back to the one that you have previously been working on, because it just stopped wherever your last prompt or question or interaction was. So it still has all of that information cataloged. So all you got to do is just type in whatever information it is you need in association with that original prompt, and it'll continue building from there. Any other questions?
Great information. What do you guys think? It is, isn't it?
Well, thank y'all. Like I said, the email, I thought I had pulled it up, but y'all know me. I got you. If you want a copy of the presentation, or if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know.
Those are some great questions that you guys asked about just the narrative of how you can continue in that same paragraph. You're just adding additional questions or saying, you've given me this, but what about that? Because that's great, because I would have thought you have to just delete.
It
and then
keeps
start
the
another.
library.
Yeah, so it's great you kind of clarified that. With that having been said, I'm going to yield to Daniel Bryant. Please put your hands together for Miss April Sibley. And Daniel Bryant. Yep.
All right. Hello. How are you? As you all know, my name is Daniel. Of course, you guys may know me already for the most part. I am very energetic right now because I've been working on AI for about 5 years now, because I wanted to create my own, actually. And it just so happened that it happened, and it's just one of those things where it's like, man, had I got to it sooner. But what I'm going to talk about today is one of the most popular chatbots that we're working on. Well, that's actually ever so often being more and more developed is ChatGPT, which is pretty much a platform that not only expanded my business as an entrepreneur a year ago on a consistent basis because I followed the prompts, I've asked the right questions, things of that nature, in order to allow me to know what I didn't know before, okay? And I'll go through some of those different things that ChatGPT is capable of being able to do. No, I don't represent ChatGPT, none whatsoever at all. But for the most part, it's just one of the, like I said, the most popular chatbots now, and it has its results. It's been tested and tried, and the results has shown to be very sufficient. All right, let's see here. All right, so like it says here, I'm going to discuss today what is ChatGPT, how it works, business use cases, a live demo, implementation of certain tips, cautious and best practices, and final takeaways. She touched a lot on what I was going to go, no, you're fine. But she touched a lot on pretty much a good bulk of what AI is basically capable of being able to do as it relates to, what ChatGPT is. One of the key terms I'll be able to identify is ChatGPT is human-like, meaning they're pulling information from us. So even though it's a robot, it's taking the information from us to be able to regenerate this information so we can utilize it for our own endeavors. So it's very sufficient as it relates to how it's done. You go to the next slide. Yep, as you can see, yep. And go to the next one, please. Yep. So where you see here, it says it's powered by a large language of models, predicts, regenerates text responses, understands natural language and context. So like she was saying earlier, where when you can continue on these conversations with ChatGPT and any other chat bot that you may come upon on any other platform, they're built to be able to create this relationship with you. So as long as you're putting in your information into, these chat bots, they're saved in as a memory. So they can always bring back what you basically went and discussed with them before. So there's never a moment where they're forgotten, unless you probably even deleted the app. But as soon as you log in, they're gonna bring everything back up for you. All right, next one. Yep. So yep. Full room full of entrepreneurs, as you see. So save time, boost productivity, improve customer service, support operations, and stay competitive. What I like about this is that how many of you guys use ChatGPT or any type of AI right now? Beautiful. So that means that you know of someone who know how to utilize ChatGPT, any other database as well. So for the most part, I have this thing where if you know enough about what you're doing and you're utilizing the AI, then a lot of times it can be wrong and you can still check it, right? Or someone who has that experience in that particular field to be able to ask the right questions, to be able to narrow those searches down. So no, you don't have to wait a week or two. If you do hire somebody that's part of your business to be able to do what needs to be done, you can expect a shorter turnaround time and be able to do whatever operations you're trying to do at that time to be able to get quicker results. Yep. So go to the next slide, please. Yep. So yep, that's good. Product brand development. I've used that several times as regards to ChatGPT, Canva, things of that nature. It's being able to build my product and my brand. One of the businesses that I own is a boxing business where I have literally went through and combed through ChatGPT to be able to understand what my audience is looking for as it relates to this program that I'm doing, and understanding, like Mr. Sperling said as well, is the market that I'm in Birmingham, to be able to, at least allude to my audience or those who could be interested, have never done it before. What's the next slide? Yep, so auto-generate social media posts and blogs and things of that nature. This is huge because when I posted mine, and I didn't think I was going to get as much responses as I thought I did, but when I did utilize ChatGPT or Facebook's way of being able to utilize their platform, and she spoke on it as well, where you're capable of being able to integrate your social media with ChatGPT and things of that nature in order to cycle out certain posts and get them out. No, you don't have to have a person to actually do it. It'll just do it right away. But for the most part, you'd be amazed at the time that it saves. And if you hate social media just as much as I do, it saves you time, and it takes the pressure off you. Only thing you probably got to do is get content, as an entrepreneur, and let the chatbots do the rest. Go to the next slide. Operations. I think I touched on that. Yep, routing those emails, things of that nature. Same protocol. What's the next one? Yep, sales operations, and creating sales pitches, things of that nature. That's beautiful. One of the things that I was working on was being able to understand how can I talk to people that are that's within the same industry as I am, right? When we don't know what the right words to use, she touched on it as well, where we can develop these scripts with people that have short time or have more time. How do I approach those? How do I get past a manager versus and get to an owner? Or who is the most appropriate person I need to speak to? At what time of day is appropriate for me to be able to go to a business and be able to pitch my idea, right? So for the most part, ChatGPT is intelligent enough, and they're pulling information from online, Reddit. Questions that's been, like these questions have been asked multiple times. So they're pulling in that information to fit what exactly you are looking for as it relates to being able to have that certain level of confidence and speak to the person that you need to speak to, right? Because then if you don't, then you just don't. Let's go to the next one. Yep, financial planning and strategy. I love this one because this one here, I mean, they're pulling infinite information in, right? And like she said before, is being careful with the information that you put in on any chatbot. Because once it's in there, right? Ain't no taking them back. So like credit scores, things of that nature, advising it to be able to pretty much comb that information. Even some chatbots will ask you, hey, is this okay that we can do this? I wouldn't recommend it because like I said before, they can, you have security measures that's in place to be able to identify you as a person. So for the most part, whenever you get in a position where you have to identify yourself on a certain platform, and another third party may have the same information that ChatGPT has or whatever chatbot it is, well, now your security questions are now corrupted because they have your information. So for the most part, staying away from personal identified information is definitely something I would stay away from as it relates to using any chatbots on any platform. And let's see. Yep. So retail, I think I touched on that as well. Fitness. So I actually use ChatGPT to be able to generate this slideshow here. So it knows me. It knows me, and it's putting in examples from what I've already asked it before in the past, right? I'm in the fitness industry already, right? My mentor, Mr. Sperling here, I've worked in the law industry, coaching, and I'm coaching as well. So for the most part, it's tailoring me. Even in my ask, it's still tailoring me as I go along through my profession. Do I have anything hard? No, but for the most part, so I'm okay with being able to develop that relationship with this chatbot and allowing it to be able to at least make my life better, as much as I'm growing in my career. The next one. So basically, and she did, we don't necessarily have to redo this, but if you don't have ChatGPT or I recommend that you actually do download it, or if you can, go ahead and download it now. So you can see, right, what it means to be able to not only just ask the right questions, but being able to narrow down your questions so much so that you're capable of being able to extract the information that you need. Because for the most part, if not you, then someone else can. I have a client that basically asked me not about utilizing ChatGPT, but she told me that she actually do use it. But for the most part, she don't have the time to utilize it the way that she needs to. So she's trusting this information into my hands to be able to say, hey, can you find out X, Y, Z for me? You know, so that and I know your source, right? I know if I put this in, a lot of times it's the same information. You're gonna get the same thing. It's just about putting the right person, you know, around, you know, in the front of the right information. That way they can implement certain goals in their life. It's pretty much the whole point of what the demonstration of being able to download this app. And I also have some handouts as well, just some things to take away from. Yeah. And if we could just go to the second page for me.
We have a hand up in the back for a question.
Yep, questions in the back.
I know you mentioned that you shouldn't put in personal information. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so along the lines of creating a database for clients, would that be something that is a no-no for ChatGPT? What is it called? Yeah, ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah. So right. So I wouldn't necessarily put their information in there. I will ask what is the appropriate database to utilize for X number of clients or X number.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I can tailor my question based on the type of platform that is useful for my line of business, and use it to then put in the personal information.
Yes. No, but that's correct though, right? Because that's how it helps you better with ChatGPT. The more general you are, the more far off you are. You might as well go to Google and type it in. And even they're using it now. ChatGPT, what I like about this particular platform is that it's very diverse, where it's going to pull in as much as it can as possible, versus if you go to Google and you could type in a question, it's going to give you a decent little paragraph or whatever. And it's not really meant to be able to, go in and basically be able to, like I said, being able to create that relationship like ChatGPT does. I would definitely recommend, a different way of if anybody's personal information that's involved. I wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If you remember when Ms. Sibley was just speaking, if I understood you correctly, you said, "I am a baker." Mm-hmm. Is that not what you typed in as a part of your query? Yes. Then you went on to ask questions. So you could say, "I am a real estate broker," or "I am an attorney, create a business plan for marketing for contract law firms." Yeah. And it would recognize I'm an attorney, right? Mm-hmm. And then it would, from there, every time I interact with that conversation, it knows I'm an attorney. Yeah. Without saying my name is Antonio Sperlin and blah, 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 who practices law. That's what they're saying. Right. Based on your industry. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you have, like say for instance, if you have you're keeping a spreadsheet of customer information for whatever reason and you're wanting to identify trends or whatever within that, if you were to upload that and have one of the platforms analyze it, you just need to scrub the data. Just scrub names, anything that can identify that customer. And then once you upload it, just say, and tell it whatever you want it to do by way of analyzing that information, and just give a brief description of what's in it. So that way it knows how to analyze and what to look for in that particular spreadsheet or whatever document you upload.
And to piggyback off the documents, and that's another thing too, where if you guys already have information, right, that needs to be able to be combed through already, they can very much so answer some of the questions that you probably hadn't, you needed answers to, and it'll comb it out. This is what you're missing. This is what you can add. You can do this and you can do that. But for the most part, for more established businesses, you've been running for a while and you hit that, that stagnation, you really want to take it up a notch. Putting in as much information to ChatGPT will definitely be able to at least make some recommendations. And something to take heed to, if you guys can go to your second page of that handout, if you got it, that I want to make a point to is if you see that second page where you see basically an outline of this class, right, of what we're doing today. Very much so direct, but for the most part, what can you see in that document there that you're looking at to be like, what's going on? Can somebody tell me? Yep, go ahead.
Not in this document, but I guess it could be. But when you're saying, if I tell ChatGPT to create a PDF for me based on a specific thing that I'm looking for, I think the barrier that I have, and I don't know if anyone else has had that I can't upload the document. So is it something technical, you need to be technically savvy, technical to kind of do that, or how is it simplified? Because I haven't been able to, once I actually create a PDF, actually download the PDF. So that has been my barrier. So do you think Perplexity is better to do that, or does ChatGPT do that?
So the limitation with both of those is that they can't generate the actual completed, finished document. Mm-hmm. It will, and if you're telling it that you're wanting to generate some type of document, it will ask you, do you want me to format it so that you may then create it in Word or PowerPoint or whatever. And so that's about as far as it can go. I have, in some instances with Perplexity, asked it to give me graphics, and what it will do is it'll give me a link to that graphic, and then once I copy that information over to the actual document, the graphic will be generated. So it's not going to spit out the document, polished, ready to go. You're still going to have to do a little work by way of importing it into whatever, copying it into whatever program you're trying to get it in, and then formatting it so that it is then presentable.
So have you guys seen anything that was in that document that kind of was sketchy? I guess I gave a hint.
At this time, we'll open the floor for questions.
Yeah.
Put your hands together for Daniel Bryan for his presentation. And so both of these are presenters that make themselves available for the next 10 minutes to answer questions that you have from the floor.
Just to Ms. Sperling's point, I have used ChatGPT again. I haven't used Perplexity. But if I ask it to do something and give it to me in PDF form, it does give it to me in a way where I can either screenshot it from there, save it to my phone, email it to myself, or save it to a document like that. So if you ask it for it, now I haven't tried anything other than PDF form of something that I've asked it for. But if you're looking for an actual picture of something that it can give to you like that, that may be a way for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. So I guess my concern is this personal information. So my website is my first and last name. So when I used ChatGPT initially, I used it to tell it to do an assessment of my website. It, wrote my bio and stuff like that. So since it knows who I am, is that a security issue? What?
No, I guess my point was, in that particular instance, the information is already out there. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, for instance, I sometimes use it to write recommendation letters for my students. It's not uncommon for me to get 6 students to come to me and say, can you write my letter of recommendation? And it's all due tomorrow. So what I will do, they're good for that. What I would do is I would then, they'll give me their resume. So what I would do is I wouldn't upload the document, but I say, can you generate, I'm a teacher for this student. Can you generate a letter of recommendation for them? And they do the following activities. Okay. And then let it be. But I don't say, this is for my student, Susie Q, and she's in the 3rd grade. I don't put all of that in there. I just give it general, and then I just go back and, insert their name or whatever once it's generated.
And I have one more question. the security with the new agent, have you guys tried the agent yet? The new feature with ChatGPT agent?
Agent? No.
Okay, never mind.
I have a question here.
Thank you, guys. Great information, especially from a business perspective. But what kind of disclaimers are needed when you gather information, use information from a bot? Are there any kind of disclaimers that say you have to identify that this information was gathered using a bot?
So typically, a lot of the other programs that I've used, if let's say I use Gamma that's a program to generate PowerPoint presentations, it will generate, the presentation, but then on each page, it'll be watermarked and it'll say created by Gamma AI. But when it comes to just actually putting together information, like if you're just gathering to create a document, I don't want nobody to go to jail. When you generate it, I guess that was my whole point of saying you have to verify that information is correct. You can't just take what it gives you and then just plop it on a document and pass it out. You still need to vet that information to make sure that it's accurate. And so, to your point, it's up to you on whether or not you want to include that disclaimer. I guess it would also depend on the nature of the information that you're distributing.
That's a great point, though. That's a very good question that Ms. Belinda Lyons is asking. I would suggest that if you're going to circulate information, like in your business, it would probably be wise if you state, this information was generated by AI. Further verification is at your discretion or need, something, just give some generalized statement to it. If you know it's something that, if you have not personally vetted it. Now, as a lawyer, there are lawyers all the time now about AI. If you put something out here like case law and you haven't referenced that case, you can set yourself up for a total embarrassment in the courtroom and the judge will do something real crazy to you. And so as an attorney, whenever I utilize something in AI, because I have a subscription service that I use, it's like $800 a month. But it will tell you all these cases, and I have to go in and say, okay, how do I disclaim where I got some of this information? And you really can't. You can, but at the same time, you better go back and verify those cases if you're going to put it in a brief to make sure that it's a legitimate case, that was a correct ruling, and it was a certain disposition of how that case was resolved. So you still have to verify it, which in my mind still makes it, well, why am I using AI if I got to go back and do all the legwork? It's sort of like utilizing a calculator, and it tells you the answer, and you got to still know how to do the math. Mm-hmm. You still need to know how to do the math, but the calculator is there to just assist you in coming up with a conclusion, but it does not technically educate you on the mathematical process of how to come to that answer. So I would say, just as part A, yes, make a disclaimer to some extent in the literature if you're going to circulate it to someone that this information is generated by way of research technologies of AI. It is advisable that you consult, confirm, et cetera, that kind of thing.
And another disclaimer I would make is just last year, back in September, I attended an AI workshop and the presenter shared something that was kind of shocking, but I think that it probably has changed since then. He said that all of the AI tools, the information is only as accurate as of 2022. So that was back in September. I mean, technology evolves, information, more and more people are using it, so it may have, gotten more recent. But as of September, that was the benchmark, was 2022 was as far as the most accurate information could be that it could produce. So
it's a great question. This gentleman had his hand up over here. And then we're coming to, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so to point out what you was talking about with the second page, I found all of the mistakes and the spelling errors.
Yes, those mistakes, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
So-
so Yep. And that was an example of how AI could be wrong, right? With something that's just so basic as being able to create that document, it still had, I did that on purpose just to, like I said, just to show you guys the mistakes that it can make. It can become easy too after a while, once they become a little bit more consistent and you become dependent on it. But for the most part, you're always going back to do some fact checking because, here it is, you can print 100 copies and then you got 100 copies of misspellings. And you're wasting, money and time, So for the most part, there's always an opportunity there to, to do that. But for the most part, being some sort of, having some level of experience, though, I can express that more as it relates to the subject at hand in which you're utilizing ChatGPT for, is so important because for the most part, you could be just spinning the block. I mean, just kind of like going through, question after question after question, but not really getting anywhere as it relates to what you're trying to do, and going through trial and error versus utilizing it appropriately and making those questions stack on top of each other. That way you're getting to something a little bit more substantial to what your goal is. Like I said, otherwise then you be going back, trial error, then you're back where you started. So.
Yes, ma'am. You had your hands up. Yes.
Okay, with ChatGPT, I know with not putting in personal information, but if it's related to your business, when you put that in, like I've looked up things related to maybe like a certain business, and then it would, a certain niche or whatever, and then it would give in an area, and it would give me maybe like particular names of businesses. So if I wanted my business to come up when somebody is looking that up, is that possible for me to put my information in ChatGPT if I'm my business information in the ChatGPT so that when someone is generating something like I may be selling or a service I may be providing, that my information for their area will come up?
So it's pulling from the internet. I mean, for the most part, like it's literally pulling from the internet. So if you are a salon that's in a local area and someone searched that, yes, it's gonna show up. It's gonna pull it up. A lot of that information is public information where that they're pulling in to be able to regenerate back out to you. That's what I was saying earlier about it being a human-like regeneration of what we've already given it. It's just taking it and consolidate, like literally taking it and where I'm trying to consolidate it so that you can just get to the point, and not have to go through a list, through the internet and then get distracted again, and then it's just one location, so you can for the most part, like yourself, be searched by a way of ChatGPT or any other platform, and someone find you immediately.
So but this one I did not look this business. It was 3 different businesses, and I did not look them up. I did not give me this person or this business or this business. It just generated these, and anytime that I was looking at that, it was like these same 3 would come up.
So to David's point, that kind of transitions from AI to marketing and advertising. And so he said that it's pulling everything from the internet. The likelihood of that happening, or the reason that's probably happening, is because those particular businesses have gone through like Google Ads or something like that, and they have paid to have their business be at the top of the search. So if you are wanting your business to be one of those businesses that automatically comes up in a list of suggestions via AI, my suggestion would be for you to go through Google Ads to ensure that your business pops up when someone just does a general Google search.
I would probably also say if you wanted to use ChatGPT to kind of further where you are social media wise, because we're literally living in the age of social media, and you ask ChatGPT or like any of these different apps, how can I make my business do X, Y, and Z? Like I know I'm kind of going into content right now, and so I asked ChatGPT, what can I do to increase to like 1,000 followers in the next 2 months? can you look at my Instagram page, and I put my Instagram handle or my TikTok page, and tell me what kind of content are my followers looking for. If you kind of try to hone into that as well as the whole marketing thing, it kind of tells you if you're trying to get to these levels, what steps you need to be taking to that as well. So that would be another one.
Because they're aware of you now. They're aware of you. As soon as you put your business information inside of ChatGPT, because I've been found like that through ChatGPT, where someone put in information, but I've used it for my business name. So it knows me now. And I didn't pay nothing at that point, the time, but for the most part, but me utilizing my name so many times and being able to put it in, it just came up, you know. So that public information that keeps going in, that's why when you put it in there, it's just in there. Like, they got it, you know. They can, and they, like, it can be used to be able to regenerate information on to someone else. You guys talked about that actually with Perplexity and people who have did similar search within the same market, and then now it's coming back to you, you know. So it's giving you that exposure as a business, along with you utilizing the tool as well.
Yes, we have another question. We'll take
It's-
2 more questions after this one. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. This is kind of a response to what Marquita was asking about that PDF. Another reason that happens sometimes with ChatGPT is it's human-like. So it will tell you it's going to do something, and it doesn't. So you have to like give it little bits of information, and then it'll do it. Because it'll even, they call it ghosting, where if you tell it, hey, write me 100 pages of something, it'll say, okay, I'll work on that, and come back to me, it's not working on it. So you have to say, give me, you know, this now in little chunks. And the same thing with the PDF. You can say, you know, write this, it'll write it, and then say transfer it to PDF.
I've seen times where it literally will come back. If it hadn't generated what it needed to generate, it'll come back to answer your question. I don't know why it does that actually, but for the most part, if it couldn't answer your question, it's definitely going to regenerate at some point in time and be able to answer your question. But for the most part, it's tricky like that. It is. It's like I said with patience, man. 'Cause you would think it's really like humans, but like I said, with that whole human-like and regenerating that information in again and again, you know, that's, you know, those errors, you know, the whole practice of it, you know, you can definitely see how well it develops over time.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
So I have a ninth grader who's at Bessemer Academy. Question for you: when I'm helping him with his homework, how are we going to make sure that nothing is rejected by a school teacher? So what parameters are you guys using to make sure we didn't write that whole report out of ChatGPT?
So,
And you give him a 0 on it.
so the thing that for us, I'm in Birmingham City. We're still exploring and figuring out how to actually enforce, you know, the use of AI and the detection and all of that. But I have seen where, to David's point, there is a lot of error. And so you may get a lot of false positives saying this is 100% AI when you know they wrote it themselves. So there's still some room for improvement. My suggestion is when you use AI, only use it as a guide, not as the replacement.
That's
And
good.
so if you're, you know, I would have your son write whatever it is he wants to write, and then maybe upload that to ChatGPT and say, hey, I just wrote this from this assignment. Does it make sense? Do you have suggestions on changes I can make? That kind of thing. That is where we have to get our children, not, hey, can you write my paper for me because I got to turn it in by tomorrow. So I would just continue to have your son write and then upload it and then get editorial suggestions and guidance.
That's good.
I also think that Grammarly has a part on there where you can like put something in and it'll tell you if it looks like it came from the web or whatever. I used to use that in college, so they wouldn't be trying to trick me because I'm taking a screenshot so y'all can see that they said this was not AI. I did write this paper. So that portion is on there somewhere. I ain't used it in a minute, but it was on there.
And they have had a lot of students on the collegiate level to have that issue, that they've written the paper themselves and they've run it through Grammarly or some other check, and it comes back 80-90% AI.
Any other questions, comments? Put your hands together to thank our participators. Once again, thank you so much for coming out today and to learn about AI. Did you guys get something from this today? Put your hands together again for our presenters. And also want special thanks to our security team and to everyone working with us and TAV Ministry. My name is Antonio Sperling. I want to thank you again on behalf of Pastors George and Judith Matthews. I also want to encourage you to look out for on our website the second week in August. We will have the submission form that you'll be able to go on and apply if you want to have your business serve as a business or entrepreneurial particular business rather, in our bookstore on Sundays, 2 consecutive Sundays, and we'll get those applications that you can submit, and we'll look at those and see if we can get you in a list of other businesses, and so hopefully you'll be able to promote your brand. Miss Seltzer in the back, raise your hand, Miss Seltzer, if you don't mind. She did a wonderful job today. Put your hands together for her business too. She has a skincare line that's just absolutely wonderful. I purchased some of those products today for my wife, and so we're looking to enjoy that as well. I want to encourage you to engage her and do some business with her as well. And we'll see you guys back on next month, the 4th Sunday. Everyone say the 4th Sunday.
4th Sunday.
Yes, the 4th Sunday in August is when we'll be here. 5th Sunday, excuse me. Yes, the 5th Sunday. Minister White just got me corrected on that. Pardon me. The 5th Sunday, and on the 5th Sundays will be for Kingdom Made Moguls. And so thank you so much. God bless you and be safe in your travels tonight. Thank you.